Good morning and welcome to Sagittarius season. How is everybody feeling? We just had Friday's eclipse kind of shaking things up over the weekend. We're experiencing a lot of shifts in energy right now. And so today we're going to look ahead to Sagittarius season and what energy it's bringing, what the major transits are, so you can be prepared for the next 4 weeks. And this isn't a warning, like prepare. This is an exciting time. It's a fun time. Sagittarius loves to have fun. It's a very optimistic energy. It allows us to be more comfortable being ourselves around other people. And we have a lot of planets moving into Sagittarius as well. So we're going to go through all of that. That way this can be sort of your guide to Sagittarius season over the next couple weeks. But I do want to check in and see how is everybody feeling after that eclipse on Friday, that lunar eclipse in Taurus, the longest eclipse that we've experienced in over 500 years. We talked a lot about it on Friday. Good morning, Crystal. How are you feeling? I know that you were here for the eclipse conversation on Friday. Are you starting to feel the effects of it? And even if you're not, remember, now we are in eclipse season, the next 2 weeks until the new moon in Sagittarius. So be prepared for some changes, some shifts. Expect the unexpected over the next couple weeks. A really good example of the kind of energy the eclipse can bring is the verdict that came in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial on Friday. If you live in the US, you've probably seen the headlines about this. A lot of people kind of upset that Kyle Rittenhouse didn't get a harsher sentence or any sort of punishment for his actions killing several people after a riot in Wisconsin. And of course, this is not my take on it. This isn't my opinion. This is just how I view it astrologically. It's not really a surprise that that happened right after an eclipse because we can view eclipses as revealing shadows, revealing what was hidden. We see the Earth's shadow on the moon and we become aware of our own shadows. And so to me, that case really reflected what work we still have to do as a society, or something that was unexpected. A lot of people thought it was a slam dunk that this person was going to get sentenced. So that's just one example of a shift that the eclipse can bring. It could also look like a shift in your own life. It could look like, jumping ahead or being held back. It's important to remember whatever that shift looks like, it's God, the universe, a higher power pushing you towards your highest path. So even if it feels uncomfortable or you can't understand it right now, just remember over the next 2 weeks that it's all part of a bigger plan. Whatever's being brought into your life, whatever is being pulled away, is all for the highest good. So that Taurus energy on Friday asked us to get grounded. That Taurus moon, really settle in. Hopefully you had time to rest and reflect over the weekend, although we did have a Gemini moon over the weekend, so not the most restful energy. Now the moon is in Cancer, though. It moved into Cancer last night, right around the same time that the sun moved into Sagittarius, which does allow us to really tap into our emotions and settle in. And so you might be feeling that a little bit more as well. Just a more calmer energy, more in tune with your emotions, or your emotions might be kind of revealing themselves with the moon in Cancer. The moon is right at home in Cancer. So that's where we're coming from. Now let's talk about where we're going as far as the major transits go. We don't have any major connections as far as planets go happening today. Just kind of some movements with the moon, which I'll talk about in a second. The Cancer moon making several connections. But I do want to look ahead, as I mentioned, this Sagittarius season and talk about some energies playing out over the next couple weeks instead, kind of do an overview of what's to come. So I'll pull up our chart here so I can show you that right now, Venus and Mars are starting to come into a sextile with one another. So you can see Mars is here at 15 degrees Scorpio. Venus is at 14 degrees Capricorn. So right now, these two planets, Venus and Mars, are within a degree of each other. You can see where I'm moving my mouse here right now. And this is going to continue happening over the next 10 days or so. So Venus and Mars never actually form an exact sextile. Instead, they're sort of in this dance with one another, this dance within this supportive degree over the next 10 days, because Venus and Mars move at a similar pace. So they're going to kind of stay locked in this angle or around this angle as they continue to move through Scorpio and Capricorn. Venus is that feminine energy. Mars is that masculine energy. So you can see that here for the next 10 days, we have the planet of love and the planet of action supporting each other. This could look like our actions supporting our desires. This could look like our feminine flowing with our masculine. Being in relationship could be a little bit easier. We could be more supported by our partner during this time. And like I said, this is going to play out over the next 10 days. So this is really going to feel like just a more compatible energy is the best way I can put this right now. It's really going to feel, like I said, supportive. This is a supportive angle. So Venus and Mars, you know, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. That's why I said the masculine and feminine energy. But it can also mean a support or a harmony between giving and receiving. So we'll be able to receive as much as we give and vice versa. We'll be able to attract people more easily under this transit. We'll have sort of a magnetic energy, because remember, it's not just our feminine being able to attract a masculine, but it's this support within ourselves between our feminine and masculine energy. And when those two energies are in harmony within ourselves, we're able to attract a more compatible person whose energies are also in alignment within themselves. I hope that makes sense. So it's not just about romance, but we'll be able to attract friendships, partnerships more easily. Essentially, we'll be able to embody our truest self more easily over the next 10 days with Venus and Mars, our masculine and feminine energies, supporting one another. And another great thing about this is, although eclipse season is not the best time for manifestation, it's not really recommended doing manifestation rituals, I like to think that we're manifesting all the time. Our thoughts, our actions, our words are always manifesting our reality. And so especially now that we have the sun in Sagittarius, we're all feeling a little more optimistic. We're all feeling a little more confident. This could be a time to simply declare your desires out to the universe. Maybe don't do a full manifestation ritual. Don't declare anything with an expectation of receiving, but we will have this more magnetic energy with Venus and Mars forming this sextile to one another. And so, like I said, our actions and our desires are supporting one another. An action could simply be declaring what you want. And it might not be declaring what you want to the universe, right? It could be declaring what you want to a partner or to a loved one or to a friend. Simply standing up for your desires, standing up for your passions, standing up for what you want in life can actually help you attract it more easily. So this is a great energy over the next 10 days that we're coming into. Again, we have a Sagittarius energy helping us be more optimistic, more abundant, just have that more fun energy. Honestly, when I think of Sagittarius, I just think fun. But also Venus and Mars forming this supportive angle to one another over the course of several days should boost our mood as well. So that's kind of the main energy that's playing out. We also have Chiron and Saturn coming into a sextile with one another. So you can see that here, Chiron in Aries forming a sextile with Saturn in Aquarius. This will actually become exact later this week, I believe on the 26th. So we're starting to feel the energy of this, but because these are two slow-moving bodies, we'll actually feel the effects of it until about mid-December. These two bodies will be within 1 degree of each other. So how do I see this playing out? Well, Saturn and Chiron can be kind of downers, honestly. We have Venus and Mars forming this sextile, and we're like, yes, we're balanced, we are attracting what we want. Saturn sextile Chiron, which is playing out through mid-December, could have us reflecting or looking back on the past. It can help us look back on our trauma, our wounds through a more practical lens. And a sextile is a supportive angle. So this isn't a negative transit. However, the emotions or perspectives it could bring us could be a little bit more negative. But I always like to find that silver lining, and that'll be easier to do during Sagittarius season. So we can use this energy as we come into the end of 2021 to really reflect on the painful experiences we've had either this year or throughout our lives. Reflect on those experiences that wounded us to help us build a more solid path for the future. Our difficult experiences, our wounds, can be our biggest teachers, and Saturn is all about lessons. So this can really help us extract the lessons from the pain. And once we're able to do that, once we've done that reflection, we've seen from that higher perspective, we've learned those lessons, we'll be able to more easily help others and heal others. Saturn and Chiron are actually close to each other relatively in the solar system. Chiron is this icy outer planet, was classified as an asteroid at one point between Saturn and Uranus. So this energy of them forming a sextile to one another, I feel, is even more potent because they're actually close to each other in our solar system. And this year, we've done a lot of work on ourselves. I really feel like healing has been a central theme of 2021, and coming out of the pandemic in 2020, a lot of people have been forced to focus on their own healing. And so this energy playing out over the next 3 weeks or so can really help us look back on our past, see those lessons, see what we've learned, and use them. Saturn's very practical. So how can you use what you've learned to support yourself, to support your mission in life, to heal other people, to help other people? I think so many of us have that desire to be this force of good and help other people. And so taking the time to reflect on our own experiences, reflect on our own trauma, reflect on our own wounds will only make us more equipped as we head into 2022 to play out our mission, to help other people, and to share what we've learned. So those are kind of the two main energies that are going to be playing out over the next 2 weeks. Let's talk about the moon, and then I'm going to show you some important dates to keep in mind throughout Sagittarius season. So you can kind of get your calendar out and plan ahead, or you can save this video to reference later, and I'll be posting all of these things on my Instagram as well. But I figured today we can kind of get in planning mode for Sagittarius season, get attuned to the energy, and understand what's coming up, understand what's ahead. So right now we have the moon in Cancer, 6 degrees Cancer, moved into Cancer last night. For me, that looked like me oversleeping a little bit today and just wanting to stay cozy, which is funny because Sagittarius season is here. Likely we'll have more energy throughout the next couple weeks, more just kind of buoyancy. Sagittarius is, I almost envision it as this like bouncing happy energy, go, 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 a little bit excessive at times, like a little bit too much at times, but it does bring us more energy. However, we're starting this Sagittarius season with the moon in Cancer, which is a little bit more nurturing, sleepy, caring vibe. This is a really important time while the moon is in Cancer to pay attention to your body. How are you nourishing your body? Cancer is all about taking care of others. It's that divine feminine mother energy. And so you can almost think of this as how can you mother yourself a little bit better while the moon is in Cancer. By midday today, Pacific time, the moon squares off to Chiron and forms this awkward angle to Saturn. So you'll start to see that. We just talked about the sextile between Chiron and Saturn playing out over the next couple weeks. Now, because these two planets are sort of locked into this angle with one another for a while, anytime the moon or any other planets form one angle to Chiron, right around the same time, they're also going to form an angle to Saturn. So this is a tense angle between the moon and Chiron, which means everything we talked about, revisiting our wounds, can be felt more viscerally and emotionally over the next couple hours. Today, we could have one of our core wounds or our past traumas triggered, activating our really raw emotions. Cancer is a very emotional energy, and the moon is at home in Cancer, so we are more in tune with our true emotions. At the same time, the moon is forming this tense angle to Chiron, activating our deep wounds, but it's also forming an awkward angle to Saturn, sort of playing this balancing act with Saturn. So rationally, we'll be able to see, okay, we've already gone through this pain. We've already learned these lessons. We can move past this, but our emotions could be telling us a different story. Our emotions could make it feel like this pain we experienced in the past is very real in the present moment. Now, the good thing about the moon is that it moves so quickly that these transits are a little bit more fleeting. We can move through them more quickly. So if by midday today you're feeling a little bit more emotional or reactive, or your wounds, your pain is weighing a little bit heavy on your heart, just remember that this transit will pass very quickly and these emotions won't last forever. And we can also kind of go back to that Saturn sextile Chiron angle playing out and say, okay, what lessons can we take from this? What have we learned from this pain? Being emotionally activated can be an opportunity to really tap into our true feelings about something and understand what we still need to work through or what still needs to be addressed for us to be able to take the lessons and move forward and then help other people. And then by tonight, 8 p.m. Pacific time, the moon forms a supportive angle to Uranus. So we have a lot of supportive angles we're talking about right now, which I love. So you can see, let's jump ahead about 12 hours or so. The moon at 12 degrees in Cancer forms this supportive angle to Uranus in Taurus. So this could look like a mood change, but it will likely be a positive mood change. Might kind of actually boost our spirits a little bit after that awkwardness we were talking about midday. And it could just look like a change of pace. Maybe you're craving excitement, although with the moon in Cancer, that excitement could literally look like trying something new for dinner or maybe having like a sweet treat for dessert. This can also bring a feeling of emotional restlessness because Uranus is the change maker. It likes to see change. It likes to see progress, pushing forward, moving ahead. So if you're feeling a little emotionally restless late tonight, that could be why as well. But mostly Uranus is supporting our emotions. So this feeling of restlessness, needing excitement, almost rebellion will actually be supporting our deepest emotions and supporting our ability to nurture ourselves. So again, if we're craving something new or exciting, it could look like a new perspective or trying something new in terms of nourishing our body, trying new food, trying something like a new form of activity, maybe some gentle yoga that you have known that you need to be doing, but you haven't been doing. Uranus can kind of give you that little motivation or, wild hair to try something different by tonight. Although the moon in Cancer likes its security, it likes its comfort zone, Uranus can help us break out of that a little bit more by this evening. So those are really the major transits playing out for today. We have the sun in Sagittarius bringing this new lease on life, this burst of optimism, this burst of energy, allowing us to see higher perspectives, forcing us to learn a little bit more, to expand our minds, expand our awareness. We'll want to book those trips. We'll want to have that exciting experience. That wanderlust will really kick in. But at the same time, the moon is in Cancer, allowing us to be with our emotions, allowing us to settle down and really tap into our inner selves. remembering that we're nurturing ourselves, remembering to take care of ourselves, especially at a time when we just want to have fun with the sun in Sagittarius. The Cancer moon can remind us to slow down, go within, check in with how we're truly feeling about the situation. So that's kind of what's going on today. Now let's look ahead to the next couple weeks. This is something I haven't done before on the live stream, but I'm excited to start doing this at the beginning of every new astrology season, so we can just look ahead and be prepared. So here's what we're working with. Sagittarius season, important dates to remember. All right, so from November 24th, which is this Wednesday, until December 13th. This is all happening within Sagittarius season. Mercury is also going to be in Sagittarius. So we'll have the sun in Sagittarius and Mercury in Sagittarius for most of the next couple weeks. Mercury is the communicator, it's the messenger, and it's moving into this optimistic sign. So that can help us see silver linings, think on the bright side of things. However, Mercury isn't a big fan of being in Sagittarius. It's what we call at a detriment in Sagittarius. It's a weakest position because Mercury is at home in Gemini, which is opposite of Sagittarius. So when it's in this position, it can be a little bit more uncomfortable and it can require more effort to overcome obstacles. Now, what does that look like when it comes to our communication? This looks like a foot and mouth situation because Sagittarius energy is over the top. Definitely doesn't have a filter. It can be a little bit excessive when speaking. And so this can bring a struggle talking or thinking clearly or just slowing down. Beware of saying too much too soon. Beware of talking out of turn. Sagittarius energy is like go, 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 and Mercury is also very fast moving. It rules our thoughts, our words, how we relate to other people, how we communicate with other people. So just try to slow down in your communication over the next couple weeks. And if you're feeling like you keep saying things that you don't mean to say, or speaking out of turn, talking too quickly, or your thoughts just feel kind of jumbled and like you're blurting them all out, try to find time for introspection instead. Of course, Sagittarius energy makes us want to be around other people. The more, the merrier, the life of the party. But if we can spend time in introspection with ourselves, we can use this energy to our advantage, because I always like to point out how we can use the energy to our advantage. We can do that by spending more time exploring our own beliefs and our own philosophy. Lean into learning about those higher perspectives, about religion, about things that interest you in general. Mercury and Sagittarius can help us see those higher perspectives, expand our minds. But just make sure you're taking the time to do that, right? Instead of trying to do that solely through conversations with other people. Because Mercury and Sagittarius can make us very open to other ideas, but almost too open to receiving everybody else's ideas or subscribing to other beliefs. So make sure before you're agreeing to something or being too optimistic about an idea, a philosophy, you're taking that time to go within and check in with yourself and making sure that it really resonates with you, doing that research on your own, maybe leaning into a book, doing your own research, doing your own study, and really tapping into what is true for you. So Mercury will be in Sagittarius for much of Sagittarius season. Then on December 1st, Neptune, the planet of dreams and illusions, goes direct. It's been retrograde since the end of June, and it's really brought this energy of practicality to our big dreams, to our fantasies. Neptune loves fantasy. It loves to be able to dream big and lean into imagination. But when it's retrograde, it can almost look like pulling back the curtain of the stage of our imagination, going behind the scenes and seeing how everything works, having a more sober, practical view of, okay, how are we going to make our dreams a reality? So in this time, since the end of June, you might have also revisited issues around your own sensitivity, your own intuition, your own imagination. You might have tried to better understand how your own intuition operates, right? Or even over the past couple months, you might have felt more disconnected from your own sensitivity. And when I say sensitivity, I don't necessarily mean emotional sensitivity, although that may be the case, but even your own psychic sensitivity. You know, you might be somebody who normally gets messages or sees signs, and it might have felt like since June, you're not seeing them as much, or you're not able to open to them as much. But when Neptune stations direct on December 1st, we can tap into that creative force a little bit more easily. We can tap into our own spirituality, our own intuition a little bit more easily, and start dreaming a little bit bigger again, leaning into those fantasies again. Especially this happening during Sagittarius season allows us to see that optimistic view, allows us to expand our minds like we were just talking about. And when Neptune goes direct, our imagination and our fantasies will play into that. And yeah, just allow us to hold bigger visions, dream a little bigger, especially as we look ahead to 2022. So Neptune direct is over the past month, 2 months, we've had a lot of planets going direct. At the beginning of November, we had quite a few planets still retrograde. Neptune is one of the last planets that's going direct this year. I think it is the last planet going direct this year. Actually, it's not. Stay tuned. I have one more planet to talk about that goes direct in Sagittarius season. So I really feel like over the next couple weeks, a lot of things are starting to fall into place and lining up for 2022 to be a more harmonious year. A lot of people in the spiritual community, a lot of people in the psychic community have gotten really positive messages about 2022, the partnerships, the luck, the abundance it could bring. We have 222, which is known as an angel number or a master number in numerology. And this hasn't happened since 1999, and before that, 1888. So it's going to be, I really feel, a magical year, 2022. And it really feels like during Sagittarius season and throughout the end of 2021, a lot of energies are allowing for shifts and for things to fall into place to get ready for that. Neptune going direct is just one of those energies, really allowing us to get more in tune with our emotions, our sensitivity. Our dreams could become more vivid towards the end of the year as well. Or if you feel like you've been having weird dreams with Neptune retrograde since June, it might be more easy to decipher the messages they're bringing or remember them as you wake when Neptune goes direct. So we'll just look forward to leaning more into that creative, imaginative energy after December 1st and throughout December. A perfect time, right? We have the holidays. We're all tapping more into that childlike, imaginative spirit and that fantasy as well with Santa coming. You know, it's a time of fantasy. It's a time of mysticism, of magic, and it will really feel like it with Neptune just turning direct at the beginning of December. Then December 3rd marks the end of eclipse season. We have this solar eclipse in Sagittarius. It's the new moon, and it marks the last eclipse on the Gemini-Sagittarius axis, which has been playing out for the past 2 years or so. This moment on December 3rd marks the end of this 2-year cycle and this 2-week cycle. Over the next 2 weeks, we could, as I mentioned during eclipse season, see things being pulled away from us and things being brought into our lives. Remember, this is all about a time of alignment. This is the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. So I almost visualize this as us kind of sitting in the middle of a tornado. You can kind of think of eclipse season like a tornado. And the universe is pulling things into that tornado that we need and letting things go, releasing things that are no longer serving us, no longer supporting that energy. The key here is to imagine yourself as sitting in the eye of the tornado. You are just in the eye of this storm the whole way. You're moving with it. So, I mean, I don't live in tornado territory, but this is just the visualization that's working for me. But imagine yourself in the eye of that tornado, just sitting in that calm, staying in that calm space while everything moves around you. I think that can really help us navigate eclipse season and view any shifts, any major upsets or blessings that are happening as all part of the work that's supporting us. It's all part of the greater plan to get us to where we need to go. This is all about tapping into your own faith. Sagittarius season makes us easier to do that. It makes it easier to believe, to trust that there is a plan greater than us that is leading us. So really lean into that energy and remember that whatever is being pulled away, whatever is coming in is all for the highest good and that you are taken care of, and just sit in the eye of that storm until December 3rd. So I really see this solar eclipse, even though it marks the end of this 2-year cycle, we just had this lunar eclipse in Taurus marking the beginning of another 2-year cycle. So this 2-week period is that transition period between a beginning and an end. And although this new moon marks the final goodbye to this last chapter on the Gemini-Sagittarius axis, a new moon marks a new beginning, and I really feel like this is allowing us to step forward into the energy of the next chapter. Welcome in that new energy of 2022. This will be the last new moon of the year. And so, yeah, we can just kind of look at this as a preview of the energy to come, or a chance to look ahead to start a new beginning for 2022. So just, if things seem crazy in the next 2 weeks, hold out until December 3rd. I really feel like that will bring more clarity, a new cycle. And we've been talking about this a lot, but the focus here really now is on 2022. We're heading into the holiday season in the US. We have Thanksgiving this week, and everybody knows during the holidays, time just kind of flies faster. We're busier, we're overcommitting ourselves. Beware of that in Sagittarius season as well, saying yes to too much, overcommitting. We can be a little bit overly optimistic, and it can be harder to say no to people during Sagittarius season. So make sure you're having clear boundaries as well. But really the focus on all of the energy we're talking about over the next couple weeks is going to be preparing us for 2022. So I have a really good feeling about this solar eclipse on December 3rd, and just this moment where we can shed any last layers that are holding us down and step into the energy of 2022, end out 2021 with a fresh perspective and just kind of a new lease on life. December 13th, we have 2 major planets moving. Mars moves into Sagittarius, so we have a stellium in Sagittarius at that point for just a second, but Mercury moves out of Sagittarius into Capricorn. So we have kind of one planet moving out of Sag and one planet moving in, keeping that Sagittarius energy going. So Mars in Sagittarius. Mars is the planet of drive, aggression. It's that animal instinct. It's a fiery energy, and moving into a fire sign. This is going to expand our passion for exploration. We might feel more restless with that fiery energy in a fiery sign. We might yearn for excitement or yearn for action in our lives. And we might also yearn for spontaneity. We might be taking more spontaneous action. Just beware of being excessive in whatever actions you're taking or whatever you're doing. Try not to be too excessive with Mars and Sagittarius. It can be very easy to do. Sagittarius is the planet of excess. The mentality of Sagittarius is more is always better, but we know that's not always true. And Mars, the planet of aggression, can also get itself into trouble in Sagittarius if we don't slow down and really take stock of the actions we're taking, think through the actions we're taking rather than just being impulsive. This can look like a very impulsive energy, and especially around the holiday season, it could be easier to buy that expensive gift for somebody or eat 10 cookies because we're all about feeling good. Just do it, right? Mars is like, just do it. And Sagittarius is like, just do it now. And it's fine. Don't think about the consequences. Just do it. It'll be all good. We're optimistic about it. It's fine. So Mars moves from Scorpio, where it's exalted. It's really comfortable in Scorpio. It allows us to really check in with our deep motivations and be aligned with our drive. Whereas Mars in Sagittarius is a little bit more frantic and a little bit more like, go, 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 do, do, do. It's all going to work out. It's fine. Then at the same time, Mercury moves into Capricorn. So this can help us slow down our thoughts just a little bit. Think more critically, think more practically, have a more thought out approach in conversation and communication. Business talks and negotiation will really benefit from Mercury moving into Capricorn on December 13th. And we'll also be able to talk more about money, think more about our plans for 2022, just have that slower approach to all of our thoughts, all of our words, all of our conversations. This happening right around the holidays also makes for a great opportunity to learn about your own family history. Capricorn is all about our ancestors, all about the past. And so learning about our ancestral history will feel really good when Mercury is in Capricorn. This sets the perfect stage for talks about your family line during the holidays. You know, having that conversation with your grandparents or with your aunts and uncles about what it was like for them growing up. That will feel really good. And also, talking about money will feel a little bit easier with Mercury and Capricorn, or not even just money, but investments, long-term plans, your plans for 2022, especially during Sagittarius season. We're thinking about travel, all the things we want to do, how we want to expand our awareness, where we want to explore in 2022. Mercury and Capricorn helps us think more practically about those plans and maybe actually helps us lay the groundwork for them, have that more solid foundation for us to actually make the plans and be a little bit less spontaneous, as Sagittarius loves to do. So although we have Mars moving into Sagittarius, kind of amping up that energy, Mercury and Capricorn will slow down our thoughts a little bit and just help us check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. All right. On December 18th, we're looking forward to the full moon in Gemini. So this is the final full moon of 2021. And this is really going to be a moment of reflection and release. With the moon in Gemini, we can really tap into everything we've learned so far this year. Gemini is sort of like the student of the zodiac. It's all about taking in information and sharing information. And so on December 18th, we'll enjoy talking to people more. This could be like the culmination of being around the people you love, sharing information, sharing about what you've learned this year, sharing just in general, right? Allowing our personality to come out, talking with people more. We will enjoy being more social under this lunation. And you know, again, this is really a reflective energy, the last full moon of 2021, allowing us to release and reflect on everything that we've learned so far this year. And for most people, I know that's been quite a lot that we've learned. When the moon is in Gemini, our intuition is working with our rational mind. So this is a great full moon to do some sort of exercise that helps you reflect. So write or talk about the past year. Even doing a journal exercise about everything you've learned or just your experience in general in 2021 can be a great way to release anything you don't want to bring with you into 2022, or just check in with yourself, give yourself credit, celebrate how far you've come, celebrate everything you've learned. This is really going to be a moment of celebration, of abundance on December 18th. It could look like abundance in terms of conversation, of communication, especially with the moon in Gemini, but it could also just look like abundance in terms of being around the people you love, sharing your energy with them. You know, this is right around Christmas, the weekend before Christmas, so we'll really enjoy being social this weekend. And sometimes being in those social settings, talking to other people can also be a great practice of reflection, because when we are showing up in social situations, it does allow us to reflect on how we're showing up, right? Which version of ourselves is showing up to this party? Gemini is kind of highlighting all the different personalities that we have within us. So take note of which version of yourself is showing up to those holiday parties. Is it a higher version of yourself? Give yourself credit for how you're showing up, especially if you are proud of all the work you've done this year. And you should be. You should be. So the full moon in Gemini will remind us of that. All right, just a couple more transits to talk about so you can be prepared for Sagittarius season on the final days of Sagittarius season, because we are now in the energy of the Archer until December 21st, until the winter solstice. So on December 19th, a few days before the season ends, we have another planet or body going direct. Chiron stations direct. We talked about Chiron at the beginning of this live stream because Chiron and Saturn are in that sextile, in that supportive angle with one another, within 1 degree of that angle for several weeks now, inviting us to reflect on our past trauma, kind of go back and take the lessons from the pain so we can now share the lessons with other people in 2022. And Chiron stationing direct will actually help us start to be able to share those lessons. This is right after Saturn and Chiron pull away from that supportive angle to each other. So at this point, we have taken the lessons. We've taken what we've learned. And now we're able to start sharing our healing with other people. I don't think it's a coincidence that this is happening right before the holidays when we're around our friends and family. This is a great opportunity to, especially with Mercury and Capricorn ruled by Saturn, all about lessons, all about boundaries and structure, that can also help us share what we've learned. So we have kind of this mashup of energy starting December 19th that allows us to start taking action on our healing and on sharing that healing with other people. Chiron is in Aries, which is also a very activating planet, or activating energy, I should say. So this retrograde since July, the wounded healer, has really forced a lot of people to reflect on their own trauma, to reflect on their own wounds in the second half of 2021. But right before the holidays, we're able to kind of stop that reflection process and start the sharing process. Even if you're not ready to, this could just look like showing up to your holiday functions as that more wise version of yourself with that wisdom you've learned from reflecting on your trauma, from reflecting on your pain. Being around family can be especially activating of our old wounds, just because a lot of times our core wounds, our core trauma happened in those childhood years when we're around our family. They might be a result of our family, and our parents might not have that awareness, or our grandparents might not have that awareness. So Chiron stationing direct right before Christmas, right before our major holidays like New Year's, can really help us reflect on our own journey and show up to those holidays with those lessons, with everything we've learned, with a higher perspective of our pain. And so we can start sharing our healing with our closest friends and family. This doesn't necessarily have to look like super intense conversations. Sharing your healing can simply be just showing up as the best version of yourself. And people will start to notice when you're vibrating at a higher energy, even if it's not a conscious thing. You might start to get comments like, wow, something's just different about you, or you just seem like you're a little bit lighter or wiser. That could be the outcome of Chiron direct, you just kind of showing up with that wisdom that you've learned with all these planets over the past 6 months going retrograde, forcing us to go back, forcing us to learn the lessons, and then Saturn and Chiron coming apart from this supportive angle with one another, really giving us one last chance to reflect on our pain, reflect on our trauma, and take the lessons. Venus on the same day, so we're talking about all these planets going direct. Well, Venus goes retrograde on December 19th until the end of January. So Venus is going to be in Capricorn for quite a long time, much longer than a normal Venus transit because of this retrograde. Venus is the planet of love, desire, affection. Venus in Capricorn is much more practical about love. It thinks about the why, the reasoning, the long-term plans with our relationships, both platonic and romantic, as well as our long-term plans when it comes to our finances, investments, money. So when Venus goes retrograde on December 19th, this is a chance to review our long-term desires. Take that month or so, right? It's over a month that Venus is retrograde as we go into a new year to really reflect on what it is we want long term, not just in 2022, but in the years to come. This retrograde could also bring any unresolved issues to the surface in your partnerships, in your relationships, really force you to think long-term about, okay, if I'm going to have this long-term relationship with this person, whether that's a business partner or a romantic partner, it could bring any unresolved issues to the surface and make you face them, make you assess whether this is somebody you want to be connected to in the long term. Any cracks in the foundation of love, money, relationships could be revealed during this time. Also around the holidays, you probably heard about this during Mercury retrograde, but during Venus retrograde, you can expect those old lovers to come knocking, especially if you're lonely, if they're lonely, if you're single right now. It's the holidays. People get overly sentimental. They remember that Christmas in 7th grade when they got you a teddy bear, and they just want to revisit those memories. So expect old lovers to maybe come. Even if they're not actually contacting you, you might see them pop up on social media, see them pop up on Instagram. I would say this is not the time to engage unless you really think there's a long-term potential with this person, unless it's like this, oh my gosh, I forgot, or I lost contact with this person, and this is so serendipitous. Probably not going to be, but if that happens to you, let me know, because we love a good outcome from retrogrades. So yeah, lovers of the past could come knocking just really while Venus is retrograde to end out 2021 and start 2022. Keep your goals in the back of your mind. Remember to keep the vision, hold that vision of where you are going. Make sure that if you're setting long-term goals during this time, you actually have the energy and resources to back them. And keep that achievement aspect, keep your desires in mind before you start to make any moves that you think will help you in the long term, because they could actually set you back. So really try to take that global approach, especially during Sagittarius season. It can help us see that higher perspective. Make sure any moves you're making with Venus retrograde will actually benefit you in the long term, and make sure there's certainty of that, because retrogrades can bring about some confusion or just make us kind of question our motivations. So Venus retrograde is really the only challenging transit we have to talk about during Sagittarius season, and it's right at the end of Sagittarius season. So the point here is that we have lots of good vibes on the way, and that's good news. That's good news. Venus retrograde. I'm both excited and like, what the fuck? Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I'm really curious to see how the energy of this Venus retrograde plays out, because it's in Capricorn. So it does have us thinking about long-term investments, long-term relationships, long-term goals. And we're going to be feeling this during Capricorn season mostly, which is all about that achievement, all about those goals, all about long-term plans. So I see Venus retrograde really throwing a wrench in any sort of long-term relationship. And sometimes that wrench can actually show us where there needed to be repairs in the first place. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something to be aware of. My Venus in Pisces will thrive. Yes, see, that's the energy to have. Like, just get excited, right? Like, if you're prepared, if you're watching this, you're already prepared. So knowing when energy is coming, I always say this, but knowing the energy that's coming ahead of time can really put you in a better mind space, head space, rather than just allowing it to affect you in the moment. I hope that makes sense. All right, so that's a look ahead at the energy of Sagittarius season. We've got a lot of planets moving. We have a lot of things shifting. We have a lot of planets going direct, and then we have Venus going retrograde at the end of Sagittarius season. We have Venus and Mars forming this loose sextile to each other over the next 10 days, really allowing our desires and our actions to work hand in hand, allowing us to find a balance between giving and receiving, allowing us to bring support into the picture between our masculine and feminine energies. We have a lot of positive transits, even between challenging planets, that are really going to allow us to see those higher perspectives during Sagittarius season, have that higher learning. And then the Sagittarius energy just brings a dose of optimism to the picture that can allow us to just lighten up a little bit. You know, just over the next 4 weeks, be aware of excess, be aware of going overboard, especially with Mercury and Sagittarius starting this week. Be aware of saying too much too soon. But I think with everything happening with Chiron and Saturn and Venus and Mars, the Sagittarius energy is really just going to help us see that higher perspective and lighten up a little bit, which, you know, not a bad thing. All right, now let's pull a card to really round out this preview of Sagittarius season. See what energy that source, the universe, spirit is calling in for this time. So I'm going to pull from the Modern Witch Tarot deck. I've actually never pulled from this on the show. And this is more of a traditional tarot deck. I am not an expert in tarot by any means, but I do have the guidebook pulled up so I can tell you what everything means. All right, we'll just pull one card today. I don't think we need to do a full tarot spread. We'll just see what energy Sagittarius season is bringing in. And as I'm shuffling, if you have any questions about the transits we just talked about, go ahead and throw them in the comments. And I will try to answer them to the best of our ability here. How is everybody feeling about Sagittarius season? I'm like really excited, but also this is the season of optimism, so you know, it's a lot easier to be optimistic. But this is just, I love that Sagittarius season falls right around the holidays because it does make it easier to just be around other people, be optimistic about the future, lean into higher perspectives, lean into spirituality as well. Yeah. This just pulled up. I don't think this is an actual card, but hey, I just want to read it to you anyway. You are a badass being full of life, love, and possibilities. Through this deck, may you find a path to your best self. I love that. What a Sagittarius message. You are a badass being full of life, love, and possibilities. That is like, I know this isn't the card of the day, but it just popped out at me and I had to read it. You are a badass being full of life, love, and possibilities. Like, I'm going to put this is my mantra for Sagittarius season. Aw, thanks, Lance. I hope this gave you a nice little preview of Sagittarius season. I hope you have a lovely day as well. All right, let's pull a card. What do we need to know for Sagittarius season? All right. King of Wands. Okay, if you are a tarot person watching this and you know what that means, let me know. I need my friend Morgan of Rising with Morgan here to give me the breakdown. But since I'm not a tarot master, I usually just stick to oracle cards. Let me pull up the meaning of this. King of Wands. This deck is really cool too because it's all like modern female witches. Okay, let's see. King of Wands. Got the digital guidebook pulled up here for us. Let's see. Scrolling. Thanks for your patience if you're still here. This deck, for whatever reason, doesn't come with an actual physical guidebook. You can just scan the QR code online. Very eco-friendly and sustainable, but not as easy to work with on a live stream. So let's see. We're in Pentacles. We got to get down to Wands. Swords, cups. Where are our wands? Oh, here we go. Okay. All right. We're at Queen of Wands. Where's the King? Is there no description for the King of Wands? Oh, hold on. Oh, here we go. I found it. Don't worry, everybody. I always joke that I think people are more entertained by just watching me like silently do things on these live streams than actually talk. Okay, King of Wands, our card for Sagittarius season. The commanding leader, totally confident in their actions and abilities. The king can be an inspiring teacher or a boss you really respect. If the king is you, it might be time to step up and take control in a particular situation. Don't be afraid to take the lead. You can channel your passions into action and energy. You've got the skills to be in charge. Ooh, I love this card for Sagittarius season, the season of confidence, of abundance. Sagittariuses can be great leaders because they have that optimism. They're able to see the silver linings. And I love how it says the king can be an inspiring teacher because Sagittarius season is all about that higher learning. And Sagittariuses can be great teachers because of that. So we talked a lot about the ability to share our own healing with others, with Saturn and Chiron forming this sextile and then Chiron going direct at the end of this season. Remember that you can be a leader just by embodying your best self, by sharing what you've learned, by sharing your healing. Don't be afraid to take the lead. You can channel your passions into action and energy. That's another message from this card. And that really plays into the Venus-Mars sextile happening over the next 10 days, channeling that passion, that desire into action. We'll have those two energies supporting each other. And the last message, you've got the skills to be in charge. Don't discount everything you've learned this year. Don't discount the skills you now have. Even that emotional awareness or being more emotionally aware is a skill in itself. So everything you've learned is preparing you for 2022 and is preparing you to be a leader over the holidays. I really feel that if you're watching this, you are equipped to be somebody who shares light with friends and family, who shares their perspective with friends and family. That might not look like pushing your ideology on other people, which Sagittarius energy kind of has us do sometimes. We're like, no, this is the right belief. This is what I believe. Like, we can be a little bit self-righteous, but remember that just by showing up with everything you've learned, with the wisdom, and having that wisdom expressed through your actions, that can be a really powerful teacher in itself. Showing up as that higher version of yourself, acting as that higher version of yourself around friends or family can be a huge teacher, even just subconsciously. Even, like I said earlier, friends and family might be like, wow, you seem different, or you just seem like wiser. Just be that teacher. Don't necessarily express everything you want to teach. Just embody what you want to teach others. That's what I get from this card. Be that leader, be the King of Wands, inspire other people through your actions. Yes, this is relatable. Channeling all of this for the end of this year. Yes, yes, yes. That's what we like to see. Yes. Okay, well, this was great, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today, looking ahead to Sagittarius season with me. I hope that you'll be able to revisit this video over the next couple weeks if you need some guidance, or if you want to remember, oh, what planet's moving where, when. Of course, we'll talk about all these things every morning as they come up, but just a fun way to welcome in Sagittarius season with all of you. Get into the energy of optimism, the energy of abundance, and at the same time have that self-awareness so we don't end up with our foot in our mouth or end up doing anything that we might regret a little bit later. Sometimes being spontaneous isn't the best thing, but I think we have a great Sagittarius season ahead. These next 2 weeks are allowing a shakeup, allowing us to align with our highest timeline and really get on the path of where we're going in 2022. And I have a feeling we're all going to a more harmonious, beautiful, abundant place in the new year. So thank you. I hope you have a great Sagittarius season. I hope you'll join me right back here tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. And really nurture yourself with this Cancer moon as well. You know, just take care of yourself to start off Sagittarius season. Make sure you're taking care of your body, taking care of yourself emotionally as well. And also, I want to point out tomorrow on The Spiritual Journalist, we have a guest coming on talking all about manifestation. Perfect for Sagittarius energy, right? We love to manifest during Sagittarius season. Although it's not the time to manifest during eclipse season, we'll get some great useful tips that we can use towards the end of the year and into 2022. So I hope you have a wonderful Monday, a wonderful start to your Sagittarius season. I will see you right back here tomorrow. And until then, stay curious.